Happy New Year! Yeah, it's 2021, and in case you're about to make an Internet Explorer joke, look at the screen. Yeah, I know. Really quick abbreviation. I'm trying to keep this this video as brief as possible for me. Yeah, I've been incredibly busy with school. My schedule with school has been growing increasingly dense. And to the point that when I finally got a chance to record Design Lab Episode 3, if you're solely a Geek Hotspot viewer, check it out. It's been a really fun series. I took a couple weeks to record, but I was really happy with how it turned out. And between my own procrastination and lack of time in my schedule to edit it, it took a while. And iMovie kicked me in the teeth every time I tried to export it. So yeah, that could be a long story. It's a story for another day. I'm not going into that right now. But here we are, finally getting a chance to record this after having the notes for this channel, or channels update, together for a few weeks. Timestamps are in the description if you're just wanting to know what's new for one channel or another. This will be for ASHTAGbricks, Geek Hotspot, and ASHTAGunited as a whole. So if you're only wanting the parts that are relevant to the content you enjoy, then again, timestamps are in the description. So starting with ASHTAGbricks, editing changes. Perhaps not for the entirety of the content on ASHTAGbricks, but certainly for parts of it. I'm going to be editing things a little bit differently. So how I've always done it up to this point, unless it is in like the speech I did for the 5 subscribers special, that was a little bit differently. But how I've always done it is I've recorded and then edited. I've recorded everything, edited everything, and then published it. Even with the 5 subscribers special thing, I, recorded the voice memo after quickly writing the speech, and then I put the slides up and published it. That's what I've been used to, and it is with the type of content I've been recording for ASHTAGbricks. It has been proven to be rather inefficient, particularly for Design Lab, and the now, at least in my mind, infamous drop testing video, which I loved and stand by all the information I had in there, but it took a while to edit, partially because it was just so overwhelming. I get into the editing room and see an hour of footage, 48 minutes of footage, depending on the video, and it can be very overwhelming, leading it to take longer. And so for that reason, particularly with Design Lab or any video that I have a feeling might take longer, I'm going to be changing things up a little bit. Instead of recording the entire video, throwing it into iMovie, and then going, oh my gosh, this is going to take a while, I'm instead going to adopt an approach I know a lot of other YouTubers take, where I instead record one segment and edit it, record the next segment, edit it, and then doing it in sort of incremental parts will hopefully, Lord, make things a lot less overwhelming for me in the editing room. And I think it'll particularly work for things like Design Lab, or would have really worked with the drop testing video, because there were specific segments. If you look at episode 2 of Design Lab, I had a note of 4 things I wanted to do. One of them I swapped for a different thing, and I recorded the video over the course of 2 afternoons. With the drop testing video, of course, the segments were each model being drop tested, and so I have a feeling it would have been a lot easier for me, instead of recording everything over the course of 2 afternoons and then spending after the rest of the week or the next 2 or 3 months doing the editing, it would have been easier if I had gone, okay, let's record this short segment, which, and at the end of the day, with the drop testing video, it was only like 6 minutes long per model, and if I had just recorded each of those, edited edited each of those segments and moved on, it probably would have been a lot more overwhelming. So in order to try and cut down the overall time I'm spending on these longer videos, I'm going to try and implement those changes. Man, I really need to start speeding up. Hopefully, I know this is faster than I usually go. Hopefully, this all makes sense. If not, I apologize. Recording changes to with Design Lab. Not much else really needs to be said about this, because it does fall in line with the editing changes. Pretty much anything I'm either anticipating to become a longer video, or anything that can be broken up into multiple segments in a video, I'm going to try and record one segment or record one piece and then edit it and move on in that incremental system. Again, like with Design Lab episode 3, since that was recorded over the course of a couple weeks, I think that probably would have worked pretty well of, recording a little bit, editing that little bit. Granted, at the end of the day, iMovie was giving me technical difficulties, so maybe it wouldn't have made much of a difference, but moving swiftly on, what to expect from Technique Showcases in the future. If you've seen episode 1 of Technique Showcases, I did that back in 2019, really. I was trying to decide how I wanted to do it, and so I probably would have done it a few months prior, but it was really, we put together the Christmas firehouse, and I was just so fascinated by how the technique used for the texture on the roof. I really wanted to make a video about it, and so I did, and I was hoping it would become a bit more regular of a series, but in order of trying to decide on a technique and trying to get everything together, as you should probably expect from me by now, I started overcomplicating things in my head, which has led me to, putting things off, letting you to not seeing that much of Technique Showcases, as opposed to something like Design Lab, which I can just easily record since it's very off the cuff, and then the longest part is just editing. I want you to know, in case you were hoping to see more of Technique Showcases, I'm hoping to make more of Technique Showcases. And so let's talk about, real quick, what you can expect from there and sort of how long types of episodes should take. I'm kind of trying to put it into 3 categories in my mind. I might forget something, and so I might make an amendment to this in the future. But the first category for the types of episodes you can expect from Technique Showcases is like episode 1 was. You've got, I'm presenting a set that has a particular technique I found really interesting, or might be helpful, or just all around is cool, and am trying to show that, which of course is very easy to produce because it's just me sitting a model in front of the camera talking about it for 6-8 minutes max, and then I can throw that into iMovie with some background music and put it on YouTube. So those are pretty easy. I am trying to look around, look at different sets I've got together, and just see, would that make is there something in this model that would make a really cool episode of Technique Showcases? And obviously at times I've been deliberating, maybe that one would, maybe that wouldn't. Sometimes I go, oh, that's really cool, and then forget about it a day later, and so that's the main reason why you haven't seen those types of Technique Showcases before. The second type that I've been planning on is sort of a general technique, like a showcase, or that would almost be like a tutorial of a bit broader area of technique. Like with episode 1, it was just a 3-piece, a true showing, hey, this is how you can use these pieces for this effect. In the case of episode 1, it was repeating a pattern of 3 pieces over and over to achieve an effect of a textured roof. But something I'm sort of got in my mind for the idea of the second category would be something like developing a color scheme, or working with scaling up or scaling down models or something like that. That would also, that is kind of takes a bit more preparation to make, right? If I'm talking about how to develop a color scheme, all in all, that's not too hard of a video to make, but you are getting into color theory, and so I want to make sure I have notes, I have points and tips to try and work with that. It's not that hard of a concept to understand at all, but it does take a minute to sort of go through things. And I mean, granted, there are simpler ideas I've had, and one that I really want to do for this second category that would be pretty quick to make is, using Duplo, having that for terraforming or for larger builds, because in case you didn't know this, they do interact with the regular sized bricks. And then the third one would be something along the lines of, if you've seen the Hotspot series on Geek Hotspot, I found these different pictures of techniques, like on Pinterest or different places, and sort of picking out an interesting looking one there, maybe even trying to do it, build it for myself, and just giving some commentary on that, trying to showcase those. Of course, giving proper credit where credit is due for the people who originally posted the techniques, but sort of taking an online approach, maybe even looking at the PDFs for different sets I don't have, and taking a look and just going, oh yeah, this person figured this technique out, it's really interesting, you gotta check it out, and maybe we'll try it. That's the kind of thing you can expect. Those three main categories, either taking a look at a set and showcasing a technique from there, giving a more broad definition, like something like developing a color scheme, or going online to Pinterest or somewhere and being able to go, yeah, this is something interesting that I found when scrolling through Pinterest. Yeah, I have not, and I did one episode of my learning stop motion series in 2020, and that's something I want to try and get back to. I've not had very many ideas. I had one idea for a project back in 2019, but that one kind of fell through as I was doing it, and so I want to try and get back to at least doing the basics, maybe building a set as in like a animation set, not as in a Lego set, and working on, minifigs interacting with the environment, that kind of stuff, and just refreshing my energy with that, because I just not, in 2020, for whatever reason, I was just not able to get into focusing on doing stop motion, and so I really want to get back to that. In a similar vein, and this is the last thing for ASHTAGbricks, in a similar vein, I'm considering, I've not decided on it yet, temporarily narrowing the scope of ASHTAGbricks content, because I've done, just in, gosh, little over 2 years since I started ASHTAGbricks, have done mock showcases of my own stuff. I did a set review. I've done, of course, the stop motion stuff, design lab, technique showcases, let's builds, time lapses, all sorts of stuff. And I'm trying to think about whether or not it might be beneficial to temporarily narrow that scope down to design lab, technique showcases, stop motion, and then let's build and time lapses. Maybe, so I can focus on getting some other videos out, I might, again, still take a break from stop motion. And like I said, this is very temporary. I want to do these other things, but as dense as my schedule is right now, I still want to be able to focus on other things that will allow me to still make videos and get them out. This one isn't a certain one just yet. It's just sort of been in the back of my mind, maybe thinking about doing it. Next, moving on to Geek Hotspot. And I'm also, funnily enough, considering extending the scope of for the content of Geek Hotspot to all the things you can geek out over. That's very much a work in progress. I've not. If I do this, that won't be the official description. The reason for this is since I really started at least even planning videos for Geek Hotspot, it went from, oh, Middle Earth and Disney and Marvel and technology and all these things, and it was this really long list of different stuff, but it wasn't catchy, it took forever to say, and so finally when I was describing my channel to a friend of mine who I found out was also doing YouTube, I condensed it down to science, technology, and pop culture. And recently I remembered, and by remembered I mean I was on my channel page doing some maintenance and saw that, and the sort of motto I created of the ASDFGHJKL, or the pterodactyl noises we geeks make when seeing in-game trailers or whatever the case is, and saying that we don't judge when you do it, and that it is a hotspot for all geeks. And particularly before COPPA happened, I was really interested in sort of making a community to where people, because, I mean, you know, as much as people who aren't quite into what we are love us and are trying to get excited with us, you know, it is nice having someone who can get excited about what we are excited about, because they're just as much of fans. And so, yeah, I'm considering maybe opening it up to, what are you excited about? Let's get excited with each other and that kind of thing. This one's not quite a definite either, but it's another thing I've been brainstorming about. On the matter of the hotspot, that's what the next 2 points for the Geek Hotspot section is on. That is, of course, very much a news show. I don't have the time to be a news channel, and there are other types of content for Geek Hotspot that I would rather be doing than trying to be a news channel, particularly since there are people with much clearer schedules to do that with than myself. And there's plenty of other people who go, oh, Spider-Man's back in the MCU, or he's out of the MCU, or whatever it is, 30 seconds after the article comes out. That's not what I want to do. I love doing the hotspot, but that's not what Geek Hotspot is about. It's not about a news channel. Nevertheless, I'm still trying to get episodes of the hotspot out as I find interesting topics for them. Of course, I've not really been able to do that, but, you know, if I see something where it's like, yeah, that would be something really interesting to cover, or I have something to say about that, then that's when I will make a video about it, because, again, there's so many different news channels. You could essentially throw a rock at YouTube and it'll hit someone who will cover it. And so doing a news channel isn't what I think is going to set the hotspot apart. I think at the end of the day, like most news channels, it'll be my opinions on the stuff that I'm covering. In that same vein, if I don't, like I have with 2 ideas I've had for the hotspot, if I am not able to record right when it's fresh off the press, so to speak, of these different stories and articles or whatever, I present to you the idea of quote-unquote smoldering episodes of the hotspot. Yes, it's a pun, deal with it. For things like the 2 that I'll hopefully be able to get out in the next couple weeks that aren't new, but they're still relevant. Like these stories have been out for a few months now, but they're still relevant, and I think as long as they are relevant, it's still, particularly since the hotspot is more opinion-based and less just, this is true news-based, I feel like it might still be interesting to do that. I can still say my piece, we can still get a conversation going about some of these topics, but they're not fresh off the press, and so I don't want an ironic Internet Explorer themed episode, and so putting Smoldering in the title might be the solution for that, so that I don't have to reject these video ideas or reject the things I want to say about it, but still can get through them. Also, vaguely related to the hotspot, I'm going to continue to try and balance the scripted and unscripted content on Geek Hotspot. Of course, particularly in 2020, this has been a struggle of, it's a lot easier to, if I have something to say about, like I did with the Streaming Revolution video, or the peel a phone case connection to toothbrushes, that video, it's a lot easier if I've got something to say to just sit down in front of voice memos and record than it is to write a whole script about it and put it in video essay format or any other sort of scripted presentation style. That being said, I do miss doing scripted content. I've had, it's been a bit of a bigger project than I was expecting, but I am working on a second COPPA-related video that is sort of brainstorming better ideas and better solutions for it. I know it's obviously very late, but again, between how busy I've been with school and just how big of a script, it was much bigger than I was anticipating, which could be said for a lot of things that I've done on YouTube, let's face it. But I still want to do things like that as we hopefully get back to getting Marvel content out. I know WandaVision's out, Falcon and the Winter Soldier's coming out. Be able to start doing maybe video essays or theories on those, because those are quick stuff to do. Even some scripted Marvel-related series, because I hate that I've not done more Marvel stuff, that I've kind of planned since the beginning of Geek Hotspot, but just didn't know where to get started with it. I want to balance all of this stuff that I'm wanting to do. I've got so many ideas. It's just a matter of trying to balance my time and put it where I know I can get a video out while still doing all the videos I want to make, if that makes sense. I'm trying to get my time where I can still get content out, but still make sure I'm making all of the videos I want to. Now, for #United, so these will be applicable for both #Bricks and Geek Hotspot. I'm going to try and increase content on both channels and decrease weights for both channels, though, as I've already mentioned several times, since August of 2020, it's proved increasingly difficult between my schedule growing denser and, as I've already mentioned, iMovie nearly assassinating Design Lab Episode 3. There's obviously been a drastic decrease in uploads for both channels since last August. And again, that it has been just, I found myself with no free time, but a little bit less free time than I had after school, because, I'm a high school sophomore. I'll be going into junior year this year, and so it is taking up more of my time, and that's totally fine. I'm just needing to learn to be a bit more creative of finding and seizing free time where I can, as opposed to just going, oh, well, where I had free time in 8th grade isn't quite there anymore, so that means I don't have free time. I'm not going to do that, and so I'm trying to seize the free time where I have it. And also, as I've talked about in previous videos, balanced content between both #Bricks and Geek Hotspot, so I'm not giving one the shaft while doing a bunch of content for the other, kind of like how I did in the first half of 2020, and I still regret that, because it was definitely not intentional, and so I want to decrease weights, I want to increase content, and this will be the first video I've made since Design Lab Episode 3, please Apple, please have fixed iMovie, I want it to work again. And so, yeah, I'm sorry if I've really raced through this video. I was really trying to just be as brief as possible. I know it's about 24 minutes so far, and so I was expecting at least 20 minutes of this. I ran a little longer than I meant to, but I think I'm doing pretty well. But I was trying to just get this out so it wasn't a 30-minute long video, so it is easier to get up and easier, hopefully, for you to get the information you wanted from this video than it would be to just sit through my usual rambling self. I'll watch this back, and hopefully I got out all the information I was hoping for in the first place. Oh yeah, in case you hadn't noticed, I have redone the channel icons for both #Bricks and Geek Hotspot. I changed my sig fig up a little bit and felt like it needed a little bit of modernizing for myself. I've been using that same sig fig since 2016, and so I felt like, I mean, I've clearly grown since then. Wanted my minifig too as well, so that's story behind the ASHTAGbricks one. I'll probably update the channel art as well. And Geek Hotspot, the one right before the current one that your channel icon you're seeing on screen, it wasn't what I was really wanting with that. It was I wanted something a bit closer to what the new one was, but I didn't know how to do it. I did it to the best of my ability, and it was certainly an improvement from the just me having written out over GH. I think it was like just a GH on a white background in MS Paint, which certainly not dissing on MS Paint. People can do some cool stuff in there. But I wanted an upgrade to that, and so it was definitely an upgrade. I found a tutorial from Logos by Nick to do something a bit closer to what I wanted, which that video is linked in the description. Edit it to what I wanted, and now we've got this cool glossy text for the channel art, which I think it's definitely looking good. I'm not changing the banner, the channel art for Geek Hotspot just yet, because I still really like that one. That turned out very much how I was hoping for. So yeah, hopefully, I think that's everything. I think I said what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it. So yeah, getting a late start in 2021, but I know, I know definitely 2019, and I think 2020 I was posted at least one video on New Year's, if not the first couple weeks of January, so definitely a later start, but I'm still ready to get back to making videos, and I'm ready to see what the future brings, whatever the heck that may mean. So yeah, I'll see you later.